website. So everything I'm going to talk about briefly tonight is going to be very brief because there's a lot. But it's all on this website, all the links and all the things that we're doing on the site. So please, let me get my clicker. Oh, here it is. So please, yes, go to the website and check out what we're doing. So one of the things that is great for me is the board of directors is fantastic, and I brought leis for them all to thank them really for the trust they have in me for leading the Hawaii Audubon Society. And I put Rhea down here, our CPA, who's like an angel from heaven, explaining to us all these amazing financial things. And she taught business law. She's so knowledgeable and really. She was in the background for a while. She and Rich are married, and I could hear her in the background on the phone saying, what are you trying to do? And she eventually stepped up and really pulled us out of a slump. So Rhea is not a board member, but she's our CPA. We also have two wonderful employees, Suzanne Spiceberger and Laura, who've stuck with us in the past and are really with us now. Fantastic workers, really. It's a pleasure to have them both, and both Suzanne and Laura have really helped all of us through this transition year. So we felt in the beginning in January that this was going to be transition. We want Audubon to rise and be active in the community, and we think, well, yeah, there's about 1,000 things that need doing, so how are we going to do this? What's going to happen? So we had many Zoom meetings, and we finally felt like we could get together. We had the executive committee get together, and we said our big priority, prioritizing our priorities, we decided that teamwork is going to be it. We want to work with, collaborate, and work with other conservation organizations in Hawaii and avoid litigation. So there's some conservation organizations that do litigation really well, and we're not it. We'll leave that to other groups. So the other thing we wanted to do is reach out to our neighbor islands, and I've introduced Mike and Nicole, who have come over from the Big Island. I've met them, and they want to be ambassadors for Hawaii Audubon rather than inventing the wheel and doing another Audubon Society for different islands. We're going to work together. And thank you for coming. It's great. And they actually told me about the Kalana Manu Nature Trail. It's a kipuka off the saddle road that just thrilled me to my toes, and they're going to help us organize tours and maybe get some of us over to the Big Island to do some things. We're going in a couple weeks to talk about this. So that this is just some, I ran out of space on one page to try to put some of the organizations, bird organizations and conservation organizations that are doing similar things. We don't want to be doing the same things together. So we want to coordinate and collaborate. So one person's doing one thing, we're going to do another. The birds, Luca from Birds Not Mosquitoes is the outreach coordinator. She's at the table tonight, and we really appreciate her coming and talking to us about this mosquito program from the American Bird Conservancy. And we are going in the future have a special meeting just for her to tell us what's going on with that, because it's a really big project that we all have a lot of questions about. So thank you, Luca, for coming. And of course, we want both public and private organizations that we're going to continue to work with and try to collaborate and make this work. The other big thing that we're really involved in, I think everybody is in any kind of conservation organization, is education. So we're trying to get into the schools and teach our kids, and working together with the zoo and other organizations that are having parties and things, get-togethers. So there are 450 Audubon societies in the country, which really surprised me. Most are not affiliated with national, and so that's a surprise for people. We're affiliated, but we're not supported by them, and everybody's independent. As we all know, Hawaii is really special. We have our very own issues, and we're island community way out in the middle. So we said, what should we keep that we're doing well? And one is the Elapile, which was published since 1939 bi-monthly. We're the only organization in the country that has a peer-reviewed journal. So that is still going strong, and it's a really great asset. And in the new website, we made it open access. Everybody can read it. It used to be you had to be a member to read it and get a code, but we feel that the move is to have open access to scientific material, so you can find that on the website. The other thing is we're the only Audubon Society in the country with a bird book, and so we're special. We knew that. So we're keeping our bird book. This is one we're really proud of, that we just issued the 7th edition in 2020. And then we chose some birds that we really wanted to concentrate on, and the 3 species that we picked are native. They're visible, people can see them. They have adapted to human structures and people, and so we could start citizen and continue citizen science projects that will help the birds and other outreach, but also get people involved in birds. So and the first one is the wedge-tailed shearwaters. In 2007, the Hawaii Audubon Society was gifted a seabird preserve, and it is in Black Point, which is, I didn't even know where that was for a long time. It's just this place that sticks out, and there's Diamond Head. And it's not exactly a wilderness area, but it was a vacant plot that wedge-tailed shearwaters moved in on their own. And so the Freeman Foundation donated it to Hawaii Audubon as management. We don't own it, and we're not allowed to sell it, but we're managing it for the birds. This is what it looks like from the air. The ocean, the birds are also nest in here. They moved in themselves when it was a vacant lot, and they're also in the rocks. And that's what it looks like when you go into it. It's a gated community. It's a pretty nice, fancy community that makes that a little difficult because it's gated, and we have to work with the neighbors on how this works. So there's issues that people have done a really good job over the years. And this is our birds, the wedge-tailed shearwaters, known as wedgies. And they're really ground nesters, and they've just populated this place to amazing. It's a 12-month-a-year job for Audubon volunteers, because in January and February, when the birds are out fishing, people go in, we plant, we weed, we put native plants in there, and we bring school groups in to build houses for the birds. And then in March and May, March and May, the birds come back. These are the moaning birds. It sounds like somebody's getting killed. Really, and so we actually bring groups in during this time of the year. This is signs we made for the fence, just to listen to it, because it's such an amazing sound with all these birds mating and moaning and trying to hook up. So the birds are great. They're one of the species that if you build it, they will come and they will use it. So we have lots of volunteers, lots of projects to build the wedgies houses in the Black Point Preserve. And so in 2007, there was about 50 when this first started, and it was gifted to us. A bunch of us were feeding these little chicks that were abandoned by their parents because it was getting developed. It was a big thing. And this year we had 423 eggs, which is 846 adults that are hanging out there. So it's really become very successful and very popular. Yeah. The volunteers have done a fabulous job, and they just keep working and working on this. And so this was also volunteer, the signs that we made, we put up this on the gate so people kind of know what's happening. And the birds, when they're sitting on their eggs, just people kind of stay out of there and let them brood their eggs. And then they hatch their adorable chicks in the places that people have built for them. So this was a huge rewarding thing that Dr. David Heirenbach has really helped a lot, along with Michelle Hester. So in August and November, the chicks are home alone because the parents go out to feed, and so that's a big time when the predators are the most dangerous to them, introduced predators. So the dogs and cats, which really try to work with the neighborhood to keep their cats indoors. And we also partnered with Lucky Paws, which is a cat rescue area. We said we're not gonna argue with cat people, we'll work with cat people, we'll try to really make this work. And so they helped us with three feral cat mom and 3 kittens, and they took them to house them and take them. So they're our partners. We brought him there to see some chicks, and we fell in love with them just like the rest of us. And we also have non-toxic, put killer rat traps in there. So this goes on. There's David and some students just keep studying the birds. They're in there. You just reach in and grab them. You can measure them, weigh them. David's got graduate students from HPU, and we've got high school and grade school kids coming. And so now this is November. This is the time that the chicks look for the brightest light, which used to be the ocean, the moon, and the stars that shine on the water. And now, of course, it's some of our electric lights. And so we're working on a campaign. A lot of people are, lots of different groups, to dim the lights, turn off the lights at night. And so this is one of the videos that our partner, the Oikonos Ecosystem Knowledge, Michelle Hester is the director, and one of her workers helped make this video to show people what to do if they find a wedge-tailed shearwater. It's fantastic art. And these birds right now are falling when they hit electric lights and things on land. So there's, rescues are going strong right now. So I wanted to show you this for a week. So if you find one, you can go to the internet will give you the list of places to call, and you can rescue them. Mostly they're okay. They hit a wire, they hit the wall, and they fall down, and they don't really know what to do. So the rescues are really rescues. The other species that we really wanted to concentrate on was the Huimanoku, the white terns. They've been the city bird since 2007, and no one was really paying a lot of attention to that. And so Rich Downs, our vice president, started the Hui Manoku, which is great. He just got a whole bunch of organizations, people who are really interested in this, to gather together and say, what can we do for the white terns? And Pacific Rim Conservation, Eric Vanderwerf, who's here tonight, has really taken the lead with Rich to study these birds. In 1961, we had 2 at Cocoa Head, and now there's about 3,000. They're planning a new census right now. So these birds love Honolulu. They only live between Hawaii Kai and Pearl Harbor, and they love our trees, and they love our lanais. This is Waikiki. This woman told me the bird waited for her to go get her camera. She came back and took the picture. And they lay their eggs on bare surfaces. They don't make nests. So we get to watch them laying eggs, sitting on eggs. They lay them in the weirdest places that you just think, what can you be thinking? But the young birds aren't very practiced on that, so the one up here didn't last very long. And this one here is from the arborist, saw the egg roll off, then the bird would lay another egg, the egg would roll off, and this happened so many times that they built them a little lanai. And it's called the lanai bird. It's at the Iolani Palace. So you can see this bird, and the chick fledged, the egg hatched chick fledged. So a lot of people are working on this, and these birds really they're amazing. It's like, oh, here's a light post. Let's raise a chick here, here's electrical place. And so they're very visible, and the only way that the chicks do fall off their perches because they aren't really there's no nest holding them. And so the only way that you can help rescue them is to find out. Here's some chicks. They're really, really cute chicks, and you get to see them because there's no nest. So they're just standing out there entertaining people, and people see them from their office buildings and condominiums. So this is them. We also see what they feed them. So the fisheries biologists really like these birds too, because they can see what kind of fish we have offshore of Honolulu that we didn't know we had. So the only way, the blue ribbons are around the trees, so you know that means there's a nest or an egg. I mean, shouldn't say nest ever for white terns. A chick or an egg, and then we know if one falls, the chick falls, which happens fairly often. There's a phone number on there to call, and the people who are watching that tree know where the chick fell, and they can put it back. And the arborist, this is a volunteer arborist, his name is Lake, and he has really rises to the occasion many times, and Rich spends almost all his time monitoring trees and looking for it. And this man found this chick that had really just hatched. It was very little, and he called the number on the blue ribbon, and this was the video that Rich took. Rich called Lake, and Lake came, and this is an amazing thing that he did. And he is an arborist and trims trees in Honolulu, but this is all volunteer for him. So it's amazing. The size of this tree, and that they knew where the chick fell from exactly, because they're monitoring it. So up he goes. One of the theories of why the white terns like the Honolulu is that the trees are trimmed so the parents can get up under them, and there's lots of open space like that. But this is just an enormous monkey pot tree. And so there's Rich putting the chick in a bag, and then the chick's, it seems weird, but, and then there's Lake putting it back on this tiny little branch. I was kind of worried about him leaning out on that branch himself. But the great thing is he does this when Rich calls. He puts the chick in, and Rich tells me that chick, the parents came back and fed it, no problems. It's kind of a myth that a parent won't feed a chick once it's been handled, and it fledged, it flew away. So the rescues are like the wedgies, they're fine. Yeah, it's great. So if you find a white tern chick that looks like this, or even a little bigger, you can really call that number, and people will mobilize and really work hard to try to rescue the chicks. And last but not least, our Kalea is Pacific golden plovers that we all know and love. And as a writer, I don't like to use adjectives, but I cannot help myself with this bird because they're so gorgeous. And even Wally, when we wrote our book together, put the word amazing on the cover. And they are amazing. And so I'm going to just tell you about what my experience with Pacific, with Kalea was when I was writing my newspaper column. People asked me questions, and still do all the time. Are they increasing or decreasing? They don't seem as many, or they seem twice as many, and we don't know. We don't know because we don't know how many actually spend the winters here, but we see them, but we aren't counting them. We don't know how many spend the summers here, and we don't know if the arrival and departure times vary from year to year. But the great thing is that we all notice these birds, and we have them in our yards and our parks. And so if we could, my idea when I joined Audubon was to write this down. Let's write down the information and get people who love the birds, which is all of us, to actually, put some data together. So with Wally's help, we designed this website called kaleacount.org, and I won't tell you too much about it because it's a website. I hopefully explained how to do it and what we're trying to do in it. We're trying to do it for 10 years and then compare year after year, and then we will know if they're increasing or decreasing if they come and go at the same time. Sig, who's worked with Wally and me and Kalea for years, I said, well, boy, a lot of the birds came back in July and August, and she goes, and here we always thought it was September. So we really didn't know, but if you write it down, we have some data. So this is my website. The Kalea count starts this year on December 1st, and please visit the website and read the guidelines, and then you can help us monitor our Kalea. So I'm not going to tell, we have another migratory species here in the room tonight. And this is a seasonal latitudinal migratory people who come here all the time. This is Wally Johnson and Diane Smith, who are just the most wonderful people to work with. And they've been migrating to Hawaii from all over the place. Wally and Diane and I, they invited me to go to Alaska with them one time, which was a fantastic experience. And I like this picture in the middle with Wally's in the car and Paul's out there soaking wet in the Alaska weather. And I was laughing at the picture because I'm in the car too. And he was out getting the birds that we caught. And Tahiti, Wally has gone, Diane gone all over the South Pacific to monitor these birds, which I'm sure he's going to tell you about. And of course, Hawaii Punch Bowl. And the great thing is Wally shares all his information and teaching, and it's just been fantastic to work with for all of us and teaching us so much, which is why we're all here tonight, so we can learn some more about it. So I wanted to say, oh, here it is. Let me tell you, I'm going to introduce Wally. Wally earned a PhD in bird anatomy from Washington State University in 1964, and he had a special interest in bird kidneys because he was wondering what enabled them to live in extreme environments such as desert islands and salt marshes. While studying at the University of Hawaii's Marine Lab in Anahuac in 1970, he wondered what were those Pacific golden plovers doing? Where did they go? What did they do? And nobody knew anything about it. And he told me it was just amazing to him that no one had studied them because they were there, they were here, they were in Alaska. And so he, 1979, Wally started the Plover Project, and that continues to this day and beyond. He is a professor emeritus of biology at Minnesota State University in Moorhead, and is currently an affiliate research scientist in the ecology department of Montana State University in Bozeman. So he migrates all over the place. He's been migrating for decades, and over 4 decades of research with Pacific golden plovers, he's published over 60 scientific papers on plovers and also other shorebirds. In 2016, Wally and I collaborated on putting all of that research that he had done together with my experience of popular science writing, and we published a book called Kalea, the amazing Pacific golden, I can't even remember the title, but it's got the word amazing in it, of course, Pacific golden plovers. So Wally's latest focus now is to use technology to track the migrations. And the technology, as we all know, changes very, very frequently. So over the years, the Hawaii Audubon Society has supported and helped Wally with his research, and we wanted to tonight have the privilege of presenting Wally with a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Hawaii Audubon Society. And you'll have to come up later and see it, but it's small. It's just it's a token, but it's a picture of Wally, and his amazing how much we appreciate him coming to Hawaii and helping us learn more about these really amazing beloved birds. So Wally, thank you. Yeah, Wally. Diane's been migrating too. Diane and Wally are also longitudinal migrators between Bozeman and Maine. So they're always on the move. So you.